You're listening to the Jam Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is filmmaker and entrepreneur, Amish Shah. And we're going to be talking about his award winning documentary entitled The Natural Law. Welcome to the show, Amish.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. Amish and I met at the Illuminate Film Festival that was here in Santa Barbara back in April, and I got to screen his film then, and I knew immediately I wanted to have him on the show to talk about The Natural Law. It's a great, great documentary. So I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive into this topic. So let's tell the audience a little bit about what The Natural Law is all about.
Yeah. So, what's funny about this movie is like it kind of actually started when I was a child. And not that I started filming when I was a child, but the storyline almost started when I was a child. So, when I was young, I used to get issues of like stomach aches, and I used to get patches of eczema and bloody noses and migraines, and my stomach would hurt and diarrhea, and like it would come and go, and it'd be like weird, sporadic stuff. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, nothing's wrong with you. Take some Pepto-Bismol. Here's some steroid cream for your eczema, and off you go. Have a good day. So I basically normalized some of that growing up, to be honest with you. And so. And I grew up in New Jersey, so in the United States,
So did
and
I.
I
I
was
grew up in New Jersey too.
oh, awesome,
Oh, we'll talk
awesome,
about that
very cool,
later.
yeah. So that's kind of my upbringing, and around the age of like 17 or 18, I developed something called vitiligo, and vitiligo is a autoimmune condition where your skin starts turning white, like it just loses its pigment completely. And so, me having a little kind of browner skin, having a white blotches on my skin was very 17, 18 years old. Like it just wasn't the greatest time for something like that. You're in college, you're trying to impress girls or guys or whatever it is. But, I kind of was just like, went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, nothing's wrong. We don't know why this happens. That was the exact words. We don't know why this happens. And there's nothing you could do. You can get permanent makeup done, tattoos, or you can use UV therapy. So I ended up doing UV therapy, didn't really work that well and like caused long-term damage actually, but those were the options. And so then I just kind of continued going, in my life. And I grew up in a pretty modest household. We didn't have much growing up. I'm first generation in this country. My parents are from India. They moved in like 77 to the States, and then I was born in New Jersey. So we kind of struggled, and for me, it was like I'm not gonna be stuck, and I'm gonna make money, and I don't want to be like my parents and have to live check to check. And yeah, it just wasn't like the way I wanted to live my life. And so, the growing up in America, you're like, oh, millionaire and Ferraris, and yeah, that's how you make it in this world.
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, let's go do it. And sure enough, in my 20s, I did. And I was sick of my job, and I was just kind of tinkering on the internet, and I was really good with computers. And
Oh, you've frozen up. I keep
they
having
were very new at the time, in the early 2000s, during the dot-com kind of boom and explosion. And I kind of just made so much money that I quit my job, and I was working in New York City at the time for Morgan Stanley. And I'm like, peace, I just made quadruple my salary in the last 3 months, right? So I was like, I think I'm onto something here. And so I ended up scaling that to $1 million a year by the time I was 24, 25 years old.
it. Wow.
Um, Over the next 5 years, from 2005 to 2010, that company went from $1 million a year to $10 million a year in 5 years. So we were like pretty much doubling, like almost like every single year from there on out. And it was rapid, rapid growth. And I found myself going from a two-bedroom condo with an infinity car in the garage to 5 years later living in La Jolla, California, across the country in a 6,000 square foot house with a pool on the roof, a movie theater room, an elevator, a Ferrari and a Maserati and an Audi, actually. And I was like, holy crap, like what like that's the difference of like my life had radically changed and I had Rolexes and all this kind of stuff that I was like, holy crap, what is happening? And I got caught up with the Joneses and was trying to impress people and partying and going to Vegas and flying on other people's private jets. And we even rented some a couple of times. And it was just like crazy. It was a crazy life. And
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
partied like crazy. I drank a lot. I was always up late. And then would be stressed about work and I'd be like, oh my God, the businesses. By this time, I had like five different businesses. And so I started noticing in my late 20s, like I would get stomach aches, migraines were really bad. And not that it wasn't happening before, it just got to the point where I was like, what is like, this is too much. Like, I can't think. And I would have sinus infections like every other week. And I had bloody stool. And I'm like, I have to go see a doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, we don't know, but take a blood test. And so I took a blood test, and I was 29 or 29-ish years old, and my cholesterol was 347.
Wow. Wow.
Off the charts, like completely off the charts.
Wow.
And I was pre-diabetic and pre-thyroid, basically. And I was like my adrenals were off too. So like my kidneys were not functioning properly. So like something was going on. I had no idea what was happening, but I was like in pain and something was going on. So that's when they're like, hey, we got to get on these pharmaceuticals. So I tried them for a little while, but I knew that I'm 29. Like it can't be that bad at 29. Is this what it means to be 30 years old? Like everyone says everything changes when you turn 30, and I'm like, not this bad though. Like so I started, the thing that came to me in that moment because I was seeing the doctors, I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was overweight. I didn't know what was going on in my body. I was in pain and migraines, and I was just like, what is happening to me, And I remember just not being happy. And I was like, everything that I've surrounded myself with is what I thought would bring me happiness.
Right.
Spending thousands of dollars on dinners with friends and just having fun and enjoying. I thought all of that was actually happiness. And the Ferraris and partying. And I quickly realized that none of that meant anything. And I was actually at a Wayne Dyer conference, and I remember him saying something like that. And,
Love him.
rest in peace. He
Yeah.
like literally
Love
like
him.
saved my life.
Yeah. He's like
He
a
said
mentor. He's been
something
a
very
mentor.
particular.
Yeah. He was like a mentor to me too. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, he was
Let
very
him.
like he said something very particular that was like, we all live in a world where we know what we're doing, what is not supposed to be happening. And we think of it as pain. We don't want to be in that pain. But only 1% of us will actually make the changes that's necessary to reduce all of it and get rid of the things that we surround ourselves on the external to fix the internal. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, you told me the answer. I should sell all my businesses and get rid of all these cars and get rid of this house and freak all these parties. And I don't know, I don't want to do any of this stuff anymore. So I did. I got rid of everything, pushed the reset button, and got rid of the cars. It took a while. I sold some of the businesses off. I didn't know what was going on with me. I started meditating, where I found like true happiness. I remember feeling happy when I meditated, so I did more of it. And I started rebounding and exercising and green juicing and eating healthier and trying to let go of some of my addictions with alcohol and cigarettes at the time. And so as that was happening, I was like, wow, I'm feeling better. I'm losing weight. Something is go.
You're frozen again. Okay, let's hopefully you come back. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So I was starting to feel a little better, but I was also still doing this, and I was getting MRIs and CAT scans, and everything's like, you don't have any problems. Nothing's wrong with you. There's nothing you can do about this. And I'm like, but I'm in pain every day of my life. And I was seeing acupuncturists and chiropractors, and oh my God, it was like a full-on like team that I brought on to try and figure out what was wrong with me. And I couldn't quite figure it out at the time. And so this was like 2013-ish. I had sold the companies off and everything by that time, and I had enough cash I wanted to learn more about Ayurveda. And I wanted to learn about Ayurveda because meditation was bringing me peace. Yoga was bringing me peace. And I was like, well, what other things can I do? I did acupuncture. I tried eating naturally and raw and all these other diets and everything, but still something's not right. So I went to Ayurveda and I went to a detox retreat called Panchakarma. Now, let me back up a little bit and explain what Ayurveda is first so
Yes,
people
please
have an
do.
understanding.
Yeah.
So Ayurveda is the oldest medicinal system on the planet. It's over 5,000 years old. It was started in India thousands of years ago and has been used for thousands of years since, actually, across the Indian subcontinent, not even just India. And a lot of that got translated into Chinese medicine and some happened there ancient times ago. But this medicine has been intact for thousands of years, which it's really hard to explain that. How did they catalog 9,000 different plants with 25,000 different medicinal recipes from everything from migraines to diabetes to cancer to common colds and how to live healthy and how to live in peace? And it was just a profound wisdom that I was trying to grasp. But at the time, there was only YouTube videos and a couple blogs out there that explained it, and Deepak Chopra talked about it. And, there was it was information, but nothing that I could like, how do I just wrap my head around this like quickly in like 2 hours, without having to read multiple books and trying to reference this information and do it. And so I was like, you know what? Here's my bright idea. I'm gonna do what I love. I'm gonna kind of heal myself through Ayurveda just because I knew that something was gonna be there. And I'm gonna hire a film crew to interview people that I go see on my healing journey, basically. Not to film me on my healing journey, but to film the doctors, but I'm like separate. And that's the way I kind of had it in the beginning, because I didn't want to really be in the movie, to be honest with you. And I was so sick that I didn't know what was going to be the future of me and trying to do the movie too. And I wasn't feeling healthy. So how can I be that transformation in the movie if I haven't figured out what's wrong with me? So I spent several years interviewing doctors and experts and scientists, including Deepak Chopra, Dr. Vasant Lad. This journey took us to India. We filmed doctors there. We filmed scientists in America, PhDs on science of plants. And oh my God, like it was just a beautiful experience of immersing myself into this world. And while I was there, I was asking these experts, after we were done filming about Ayurveda, if you got migraines and sinus infections and your joints hurt and your throat hurt and you got stomach aches and diarrhea, like what would you do? And they would tell me like, oh, I would do this, or I would incorporate this, or I'd drink hot water or try some triphala. And I'd try some of these things when I got home so that thinking hopefully I could feel better. Try some turmeric. And so I was doing these things and I continued my detox retreats. I was doing them once or twice a year and then incorporating all the different elements that they wanted me to continue. I started feeling better. Now, what was happening was when I was getting my blood reports, it was doing this. So, like, one time it would be good, and the next time it would be bad. Sometimes I'd feel good, sometimes I feel bad. And I'm like, what is this? Like, here I am, like 6, 7 years later, and I still can't figure out what's wrong with me. And I'm in pain. And then like a week I'm good. And then like a week, 2 weeks I'm down. And then 3 weeks I'm up. And then 6 weeks I'm down. And it's just like,
Mm.
it was just this roller coaster. And by this time, I was in so much pain. This was around 2016, 17, or yeah, around that time, 17 and 16, 17. I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I was close to bedridden. I couldn't move my left eye anymore, to the left, particularly. This side of my mouth, when I would speak, wouldn't open. Like this side of, like it was like Bell's palsy was forming on the left side of my face, basically.
Wow.
And then I had all this hard buildup that was forming over here. And when I was getting my blood reports, it showed elevated white blood cell counts. So I had a huge infection
Wow.
going.
Okay.
Like,
You're
let's just figure this out. Let's continue these protocols. So something around 2018 or the end of 2017 told me to go to India on a last minute whim and just film something there. I forgot specifically what it was in the film, but something was inviting me to India. So I went to India and I got another one of these retreats and also the detox retreats, and I was starting to feel good. And also on that same trip, I took a genetic test at an event. And it was a genetic test to measure disease genetically and what your likely expression of that disease is.
Wow.
So I get back home, January of 2018, never forget it, never forget the date. The doctor from the genetic company calls me and she's like, okay, heart disease. I'm like, yep. She's like, runs in the family. She's like, okay, I can see that. You're 1.5x expressed. Then she diabetes, 1.4x expressed, thyroid, 1.2x expressed. So these are all things that in my genetic lineage I have. But she's like, exercise, diet, we can resolve those. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And she's going down the paper, and then she's like, oh, celiac disease. And she goes 5.6x likely expressed. And I was like, wow. And I was like, what is celiac disease? She's like, well, basically your body can't handle gluten. And I was like, what? For 38 years of my life, I ate gluten. 11 to 12 of those years were excruciating pain where I had doctors tell me to my face, Western doctors, that there was no way I was allergic to gluten. Zero. They
Really?
refused to give me gluten tests. They literally refused. They said, there's no reason, because if you were allergic to gluten, you'd be like in the hospital. And I was like, I guess so, but I'm hurting. Like I'm here. I'm at the doctor's office, you know? And so wow. And then when I would go see my Ayurvedic doctors, I would be like, are you allergic to anything or do you have any conditions? And I'd be like, no, nothing. I don't have anything because that's what I've been told, right? And so they were like, are you allergic to gluten? I'd say, I don't think so. That's not what the doctors tell me. So here I was. By this time, I had 5 to 7 ulcers in my intestinal tract and stomach. I was in really bad shape. And I committed myself to understanding what celiac was, what ulcers were, and how Ayurveda can come in and help that. So I started cut out gluten, of course, and working with a practitioner, an Ayurvedic practitioner and doctor, I started eating different foods, cutting out different things at different times, including different lifestyle changes, teas, drinking warm water throughout the day. Um, Herbal supplements were a big part of the regimen, and rebuilding the gut, basically healing those ulcers, healing all that damage from 38 years.
Mhm.
Um, 2 or 3 of those ulcers actually had blistered open and were leaking. All that stuff that was forming was all the leaky gut. They call it leaky gut in the modern world. So this is what's happening to a lot of Americans, basically. And a lot of the world, forget Americans, a lot of the world too. And so leaky gut is a horrible thing. And over time, it produces so much damage, and there was malabsorption, and all these things were going on in my body. And I also had developed diverticulitis, and also had an inguinal hernia from all this like pain and damage and inflammation, and it was just horrible. It was horrible. And so I used Ayurveda to really turn this around. I started feeling better within 60 days, 30 days, actually. 30 to 60 days, I was like, whoa, what the heck's going on? 90 days and 180 days, like 1 year later, I was like, what? This is beautiful. And I started exercising way more because I had to dislodge all of this kind of junk that was in my body. I got my yoga certification. I started exercising, going to the gym a lot, eating way healthier, eating according to my dosha,
Mhm.
which is in Ayurveda, which is the constitution that you are at. And when we get out of balance in these different constitutions, that's what causes disease. And I was like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. It makes sense. And so I was doing all the right things, and I was sitting in meditation in 2021, which is just actually 3 years ago. And something hit me that was like, dude, you're happy, you're healthy, your life is back, you've healed whatever problems all this like celiac stuff has caused, your business is back on track, and you can show up for your kids, you can show up for your wife, you can show up for your friends, your family. Like it was like I had a whole new life. And I realized in that moment that Ayurveda saved my life. Literally saved.
Rose up again. Let's hopefully, yep, there you go.
It, okay, yeah. So the journeys I had experienced along the way, or I saw along the way, I saw women with stage 4 cancer. I saw a man with extremely high blood pressure that was causing him to vomit and pass out. I saw MS. I saw thyroid conditions. I saw ADHD in children. I saw all of these things being reversed when I was visiting and I was going to these clinics and I was filming the doctors and I'm like, I have to share this wisdom with people. That there's no way in my in my conscious being that I can't share this with the world. So that's when I picked up the film again. By this time, the film was on hold for like 3 or 4 years, to be honest with you. And we picked it back up, and from 2021 to 2023, we really, really dialed in the movie and put the polishing edges on it and filmed some more shots to really turn it into a beautiful piece. And then we scored it and we really made it into a personal story of mine, but also have over the 10 years of filming, we have 40 different experts that we filmed. 27 of them made the cut for the film, which is still amazing. And
Yeah,
the rest of them, we have interviews of them on our website and things like that. So that is what the natural law I call is Ayurveda. Because Ayurveda is a great word and it means the science of life. But if we were to really just simplify it, they say it's the law of nature.
mm,
And when we live outside of the law of nature, that's when everything goes awry. That's when things go wrong, disease, stress, these things start coming up. So I wanted to create a film that had an impact in English speaking countries, also speaking from my journey, people who can relate with that. So it's a very inspirational piece. In the last less than a year or so ish, we have won 9 film festivals.
great.
It's been an amazing journey of just sharing this film with thousands and thousands of people. We take clips of the interviews, not the movie, and put them on Instagram. People are starting to really engage with it, and that went viral. And like, it's just been such a beautiful experience, honestly, humbling and beautiful experience. And I'm just feel so grateful to be able to share this wisdom with the world. Because Ayurveda has answers that modern medicine does not. And I'm not saying we have to get rid of modern medicine because guess what? The genetic test actually diagnosed me
Right, right,
and it helped me. But at the same time, it didn't know what was wrong with me for so many years from doctors. But Ayurveda was helping me repair what was going on and keep going and keep the system moving and keep the repairing of the system going because it was constantly being damaged. And then when I finally found out what was wrong, boom, it provided me a solution to reverse
right.
what was happening and then see this in other people. And I'm like, oh my God, wow. And it's a beautiful, beautiful science. It's a beautiful medicine. I can get into more, but I'll pause here because it's been such an amazing journey and I'm open to questions and anything you want to dig in more about.
Well,
And
this has been great. I'm glad you just took us all on that journey with you, and that's what this the natural law is all about. I've always said that food is our medicine, that it's really important that what we put into our body, and also I really myself prefer to see a doctor that's an integrative medicine that looks
exactly.
all of you, all of it, and that integrates, our traditional medicine because we do still need that, but
Yeah.
also can look at it more holistically and offer other options for us. And usually it's our diet, that I think.
Even one of the doctors in our film said, you know, you get hit by a car, you have a heart attack, go to the trauma center, go to the doctor, go to the ER. It's not the time to look for an Ayurvedic practitioner. You
Exactly,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, celiac, that is a tough one. And, there's so many products out there now that are gluten free. I mean,
Yeah.
everything you pick up anymore is gluten free. So this is just it's an international problem, as you say.
Mhm.
And people aren't aware of that this is creating the problems. I mean, what an amazing journey. You took your passion, though, obviously you're very passionate And I love that. But even when you were younger, you had a good work ethic and you became very successful. And now you've channeled all of that into
This
something
project.
that's even more meaningful to you. It's not about the cars and everything. And as we all know, money cannot buy happiness. But I say it all the time. I would never give up my good health for
Mm.
money. It's just, I know very, very wealthy people who look at poor Celine Dion with what she's got right now. She can't sing anymore with what she has, and that's too bad. And she has all the success and money and everything else. And so I wouldn't trade, that for $1 million. It's just too important. So if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So Amish, unfortunately, our time is up, but let's tell people where they can see the natural law because I'm sure there are a lot of listeners who are going to see this and go, wow, I really need to look into this and find out because I'm having these issues too. So, where can people
Sure,
see the
yeah.
natural law? And also, what we'll do when we post on social media, we'll put your website and everything else. But if you want to tell people now, that's fine too. So,
Absolutely, yeah. You can check it out at thenaturallaw.com. Pretty simple. And you can watch the film for limited time only. And we're in talks with some streamers, so it's been amazing. We have a whole educational platform and videos, and our YouTube is stacked with education, and so is our social media on Instagram. So check that out. We have courses and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I created this website not to just be a movie, but to be a platform of healing. And
right.
that's my way of giving back because it's so powerful and it's the medicine of the future. And I see that integrative medicine is the medicine of the future. And I'm very excited that to see where this goes. So please definitely check it out at thenaturallaw.com. And our social media handles are Be the Natural Law. So BE the Natural Law. Uh,
Great.
and
Wonderful.
yeah, very, very excited to share this. And thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the show and to see you again for sure. And I wish you much, much success with this. I think it's something that everybody should be checking out. Definitely do. So it's a wonderful film, but you'll walk away, going, oh, maybe I should look into this. And there's some things that are bothering me too. So you're offering something that's very beneficial to everyone, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the film is meant to educate and also give you a couple things to walk away with and you can implement in your life immediately. So
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Amish.
thank you.
Many blessings.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.